Do.
We're going live, girl. We're going
Okay,
live.
good.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. I love it when our viewers jump on right away. It is 2:01 on the dot. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Jaimie Stathis. Jaimie is educated in all things writing, is originally from Connecticut, but has lived all over the U.S. and abroad. She is a former massage therapist who insisted on following her dreams as a writer, but was continuously told that career path was not lucrative enough. She is here to tell us a story about following your dreams, staying persistent no matter what society says, and holding yourself accountable. Welcome, lady. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I am so happy to have you here and so appreciate you taking some time out of your day to sit and chit chat with me. How are you? How's your Tuesday?
I'm good. I've been traveling. So one of the things that I've done this past year as a journalist is I've decided that because I can work anywhere, I am going to work wherever I want to. So I've had some short stays and some long stays. I'm in Central Texas, North Central Texas right now, which is a place I didn't really know anything about. And that's pretty much the reason why I decided to go, just to explore a new place. I've lived, as you said, I grew up in Connecticut. I've lived a lot in New England, most of my adult life in Montana. And I've lived coast to coast, all four corners.
Wow.
So, yeah. So anyway, my Tuesday's good. It's a little chilly in Texas though today, and it's been nice. It was cold this morning.
Oh, I never would guess that. I imagine Texas as being so hot.
Same as Florida though, right?
You're northern. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It gets cold sometimes. We complain of the cold sometimes, at least. Well, that's awesome. Every time I hear about people doing like yes things, like just like wherever I want to do, just do. I always think of the movie with Jim Carrey in it. The Yes Man.
Yes. It's funny. I say yes a lot, literally. I mean, like when I'm listening to somebody speak, I often just say yes. But as far as doing what I'm doing and saying yes to just like, you know what, I'm just going to go on this adventure. It's really intense, and that's one of the things that as a human being, I like to do is be honest about what the experience is. Right. And because the grass is greener, people look and they say, oh my gosh, it must be nice, right? It must be nice to be able to travel like that or do this. And it is nice, but it takes a lot of effort and it takes coordination and it takes certainly a lot of sacrifice. I mean, I'm in this super cozy house right now and it's making me feel like maybe I need a super cozy house again, but I'm also liking what I'm doing. And so that's the rub of everything in life, right? Is, what do I really want? And so sometimes you just have to take a pause and think about it.
I love that. And that's so true. People do, they look at, depending on where they're at, they're always thinking that it's greener somewhere else, which is why it's so important to always be authentic and vulnerable and open up about the awesomeness of it and the not so awesomeness of it, because,
right. And being true to yourself and not anybody else. I mean, that's where I think I went wrong a number of times in my life.
So since you've been so many places, where, like, if you were going to at some point, like, settle for a little while, where would you settle at?
Oh my gosh, that is, my mom. I know my mom is watching live right now, and that's like her biggest question. No, truly, I don't know. I would say that 5 months now of traveling and all the traveling I've done before.
Mhm.
If I had to settle somewhere, it would probably be somewhere between Massachusetts and New York. So
Ooh, okay. East Coast.
Southern New England. I like Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine as well, but Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. After
Very.
this time in Texas, I'm going to Cape Cod for 2 months.
What? So
Yeah,
what
right in the
pulls you? How do you get pulled in one direction or the other?
Ooh, that's a great question. Sometimes I have an idea, right? And other times I just sort of get a sign,
Wow.
or an offer. The Cape Cod situation, I won't go into too many details about it. It's a really cool story that I'll share at some point. But I happened to run into somebody on the street, and sometimes you meet a stranger. My friends often joke that I've never met a stranger. I'll just talk to anybody. But you meet a stranger and you just start chatting. And we did. And I said, I've always wanted to be out on Cape Cod in the off season. I thought it would be easier to find maybe an off season long-term rental, for not long-term, a couple months,
Yeah.
because the summer is the season there, right? So I thought, okay, I can find an off season rental. But because of the pandemic and so many people working remotely, a lot of vacation homes people are just keeping for themselves now so they can get out of the cities and work wherever. So anyway, I wasn't having any luck finding a place, and I thought, well, then this isn't the place. I don't need to be here in the off season. I'll just enjoy these 2 weeks I'm here right now. And but I asked this guy, I just said, hey, do you happen to know of any? And he didn't, but then we kept talking, and then he said, you seem really nice and really awesome, and I love the kind of writing that you're doing, and I think I have this barn apartment that you could stay in. And as it turns out, I don't even have to pay for it. I mean, it's like a treasure and a half, and it's adjacent to the National Seashore on Cape Cod. It's a really, really special place.
Wow,
So
that is
anyway, that's a
so
long
cool.
story about a sign that came to me, but it did. Yeah. So,
Wow.
when you get offered something, I think you just have to you do have to say yes. I mean, you
Yes.
could say no, but I don't know why you
Yes.
would, to be honest, right?
Wow, that is so cool. I so appreciate that. You probably get great photos
On the beach?
with all the places that you go. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I think, I've kind of slowed down on Instagram recently, but I have shared a lot of photos over the years of all the places I've been, and I've been a lot of great places.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. Very, very cool coming from somebody who doesn't really travel a whole lot.
No?
I have lived in 5 different states, which I am proud of because friggin' Facebook, for so 80% of the people that I went to school with still live in the same exact town that we like grew up in,
Oh,
So
wow.
I am proud of myself for, I left my hometown when I was 21-ish, and I lived for a while in Ohio, for a while in Pennsylvania, for a while in North Carolina, and now I'm down in Florida. So I have moved, which I'm
Yeah.
proud of. So a little bit of pat on the back for that. But yeah, I don't really do much. I haven't really gone on any vacation, never been out of the country. So never been on a cruise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
You
it's
know, and
interesting.
I think that's a really great point though, is that, and I don't know, I remember, like, I think it was one of my mom's friends when I was a kid said something, so simple, but that it takes all kinds of people to make the world go around, right? And like, we can't literally all be traveling.
Yeah.
Like, we can't,
Yes,
it wouldn't
it's true.
work.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you actually want to travel and other things have held you back, but
You know what's
um,
interesting about that? And I love that you're talking about being your authentic self as far as, grass always greener and really listening to you. Because I have a hard time saying this because it seems we're talking about society, right? Like going against the grain of what society's telling you to do. Society tells us that we're supposed to want to travel. There's,
mm,
brochures, and there's
yeah.
Instagram, and there's traveling vloggers, and it seems really cool. But for me, I don't really care.
But you know
And
what's funny?
It sounds so awful to say it. Like, I feel so, I don't know, uncultured. Is that even a
No,
word?
it is, but I don't think that's what it is. But you know what's funny about that is you're on Instagram and you see that, okay? What I see is furniture. Do you know what I mean? Like I see furniture and gardens and Instant Pots and all these things that someone who travels doesn't have, right? So
Wow.
I think I lost the volume. Are you
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know what happened.
How about now?
Hold
Nothing?
on. My AirPods are connected.
It could be me. Hang on a second. Hang on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is that better or no?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
That's okay. I could see your mouth moving, and I was like, I don't hear anything, so I should say something.
We were talking about how you
I was
see
talking
pots
about
and plants and
right, like you see all these people traveling on Instagram, and I see furniture and gardens and Instant Pots, and it's interesting because I think I see the other stuff too. We see all of it, right? But we curate our content. But despite that, I think it's still really interesting how, you know, we have selective vision, right? And so we
Yeah.
may be focusing on what we think we're supposed to want, or we might focus on where we think we lack, even
Yeah.
though we don't. It's just who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I love that you said that. That actually, I don't feel bad about it, but I do feel like I'm not fun.
Oh,
You
come
know?
on. Yeah.
No, for
But
real.
okay, so what is fun?
I'm always having fun.
Exactly. You
But
seem like you're always having
but
fun.
my version of fun isn't what cliche society tells me is fun.
Right.
Like I enjoy working so much. I
Me
enjoy
too.
creating. I enjoy
Yeah.
speaking to brilliant women like yourself who've like done things and gone places and have different viewpoints on the world than I have. I enjoy eating pizza down the street. I enjoy sushi on the other
Yeah.
side of the street. Like I'm always laughing. I'm always smiling. I'm always having fun. I don't have
Yeah.
any desire to like save my money and like go someplace.
I think that sounds great. It sounds like you have a lot of gratitude for what you have.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Would I ever, like, if somebody was like, hey, you've got this, excess amount of money, or hey, I'll give it to you for free. Obviously I would go.
Yeah.
But I'm not like planning anything. Like I don't have like, hey, some people are like, in 2 years, I want to do this. Or in the
Totally.
next 5
Yeah.
years, I want to do this.
People save up for really expensive trips, safaris and
Yeah.
other things, trips to Europe. But it sounds like you're really living in the present, which is really a nice place to be. And I live in the present too. You know what I mean? Like, even though I am on the move, it really forces me to live in the present. And, I had I've done this before, right? Like this sort of I call it taking my show on the road. This time is a little bit different, because previously when I did it, I was a massage therapist, so I had to settle down someplace and work for a little while periodically. Now I'm making money writing, so I work every day. I rarely take a full day off.
Yeah.
And that's not like a bad thing. It's because I love the projects I'm working on and I can't stop thinking about them, and I don't feel like I need to necessarily take a break from them. But as far as what I was going to say about living in the present, um, about 7 or 8 years ago, I can't keep track, but I guess it was 2013, or yeah, it was 13. So 8 years ago, I was doing this, and people kept asking me, like, where do you live? Like they couldn't get it. They couldn't wrap their head around the fact that I wasn't just on a trip, right? And I actually didn't live anywhere. And so in one frustrated moment, I just said, I live in this body, like this is where I live, like in this body. And I have said that so many times since then, not to overuse it, but I've said it a lot recently, on this trip, this 5 months I've been traveling with kind of no end in sight. I mean, I think there is an end in sight, but it's not, I don't know where it is yet.
Yeah.
Probably end of the summer. And I just keep saying, like, I live in this body. Like, that's all I'm like, that's it. That's just where it starts. And I'm not trying not to get, crazy and future trip on all of the other things, because that's it.
So where does your mail go?
I
Is that the only question I have?
Well, it's funny. No, I know my mail goes a lot of places. So my mail goes to my mom's house,
Okay.
because she's really good about, like, so there are all these tolls you drive through, right? And if you don't have the transponder for each state, you just get bills in the mail, right? So my mom gets all my tolls. Thanks, Mom. And but I get mail wherever. So if I know I'm going to be at my friend Debbie's in Connecticut, or my friend Robin's, or I say, okay, I'm going to send a package there, or somebody's going to send me a letter there. I mean, it's, it requires some management, and I'm sure I'm missing all sorts of mail. I had to forward my mail. The last place I lived was Montana, and I had to forward my mail twice, and I still don't think all the mail's getting forwarded. So, but I don't know. I mean, I make sure all my bills are paid. I
Yeah.
don't know I don't know what I'm not getting, and I think that, I mean, it's hard to give up that control, but at the same time, I mean, what am I going to do? It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a don't sweat the small stuff kind of thing.
Yeah. I also feel like now thinking of that is probably a really great time to travel era wise, because so many things are online. So
Yes.
anything that you have a question about, or that pings your head at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, oh crap, I haven't seen a bill for that for 2 years.
Totally.
You can just like go online and try to remember your password, and then
or do the little thing where you reset your password, which I do all the time. Multiple times a day. I think I have to reset one password or another. I hate to admit that, but it's true.
That's so funny. Literally, moments before we got on together, I was talking to a friend of mine who said that his Facebook got hacked. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's like, yeah, it took all my social media, everything. It was absolutely insane. And I was like, dude,
I was like, who had that happen as well.
That happened too. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyways, I put extra emphasis out because I was like, it's exactly what I told him. I'm like, dude, this is the second story that I've heard like right now. Is this weak passwords or what's going on? He's like, get this. He's a millennial. He's like, get this. They said that the most used password for all millennials is Blink 182.
Stop it.
That was his password, Blink 182.
Oh my God. Well, I'm in no danger of that. I mean,
I was like, you lie. He's like, it's seriously, it's an article. He said, it's an article that came out where that was, I thought that was so funny.
That's hilarious.
But I think I need to change mine because I haven't changed mine in years. I mean, I feel like we should probably update them every couple of years, right?
Well, that's why I can't remember mine, because I have like so many, and I think I'm being clever and I'm not, because I forget which letter I capitalized or
100%. Well, listen, I am here to hear your story.
Okay, cool.
I would love for you to, share how you got to where you are now, being Miss Traveler, and I'm sure it wasn't always that way.
No,
So
not even
share it.
close.
Yeah. So share with us. Share with us your story.
Not even close. So I feel like, and this is what writers have to do. We have to figure out what details serve the story, right? And which ones don't. And when I was thinking about chatting with you, I thought, I need to go back to the beginning, just briefly. I need to go back and talk about why I wanted to become a writer and why it took so long. Because that's really what the story is.
Yeah.
So I always loved reading. I was a huge reader. My mom has stacks of or photos of me like in bed, 2, 3 years old with stacks of books. They're my
Wow.
best friends. I love books. I don't think I thought about being a writer for a long time though. I don't think I thought that was even something a person could be. Um, and I was in high school and I'm just a terrible writer. I mean, I ended up getting good grades, but it was a struggle. And I really did not do well on my writing assignments in high school. So when I got to college, I had to take a remedial writing class, okay? The first semester of school. And we had our first assignment, and after class, after we handed it in, it got graded. The professor called me over and he said, "Why are you in this class?" And I said, "I don't know. I mean, they told me I had to take this class." And he said, "You are a wonderful writer. I don't know why you're here." And so we sat and had a conversation. And what we realized was that I was struggling in high school because I was supposed to write papers just regurgitating back to the teacher what the teacher had said to us about the meaning of the book or whatever it was we were writing about.
Okay.
And then suddenly I'm in this remedial class and I'm given the option to write in the first person and the option to have an opinion. In high school, you don't really get to have much of an opinion. I mean, you can try, but it's not. And back, I mean, maybe now it's different, but when I was in school, that was not, you weren't really encouraged to think outside the box. You were just supposed to follow the rules and write the paper the way they wanted it written. So suddenly I was able to have an opinion and I was able to use I. And it turned out I wasn't a bad writer at all. I just didn't like those other assignments. So I went through
Wow.
my first year of college. I was still a psychology major and I thought that's what I wanted to do. Um, but I kept taking writing classes. And then by the beginning of my sophomore year, I decided to switch and become a writing major. And my school had a really cool program where you could design an individual major. I did not want to be an English literature major. I wanted to be a writing and rhetoric major. So I was able to design, and my college had a writing and rhetoric program, but they didn't have enough to make it a major. So you could minor, but I had this individual major where I designed all my own curriculum. It was amazing. So I did really well. I graduated with honors, and I was even part of starting this writing program called Writing Colleagues, where students who are stronger writers help those who need a little help. And that program is still going strong. I love knowing that. And I was encouraged to apply for MFA programs, which I did, but I made a mistake. And we can only see our mistakes really clearly looking back. But I applied to one MFA program, and I think it was in the top 10 at the time. It was a very competitive program, and I did not get accepted. And as most 22-year-olds are when they're told no about something, I was pretty devastated, and I didn't
Yeah.
understand. And I thought, this means I'm a terrible writer. This means this isn't what I'm meant to do. Long story short, I moved to San Francisco and got a job at an investment bank, which was a wonderful experience. I actually used a lot of my writing skills there. But it led to, let's say, a solid 6 years of me just kind of going from job to job. All great jobs, all cool experiences, but they weren't really what I wanted to do. Then I discovered that I could become a massage therapist, which was something, I mean, I help people now. I think to some degree I help them with my words. Before that, being a massage therapist, I help people in a different way. I felt really called to do that at the time. I also knew it was going to allow me a lot of freedom to write, because you can't do massage 40 hours a week. It's an intense job to do it 15. So I thought, this is perfect. So I went to massage school, did that. I went to massage school in 2003. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So for many years, I just kind of was quietly writing and massaging and like doing my thing. I would very, very, very rarely publish a piece, usually for little to no pay, someplace very small. I didn't understand how to do it. Okay. And that's like, bookmark that thought, that I didn't understand how to do it, because that comes up later. So I did start a blog. In I think it was 2011 or 2012. I decided that I was ready to put my writing out there, and blogging was big then.
Yeah.
Mine was more of like a literary blog, so it was it was really based on the form and the structure of the writing. It wasn't instructional in any way, and that was an amazing experience. One, because nobody was telling me what I could or couldn't say or write. It was all I could write a 5,000 word piece if I wanted to. There were no limits. It was very freeing. It was also really empowering,
Wait, what did you
because,
write about?
oh my God, I wrote about everything. I mean, I wrote about travels I was on. I wrote about my dog. The blog really picked up pace though in 2014, when I was living with my mom in New York City, taking care of my grandmother with dementia. And I felt like I was living through this really hard experience of caring for someone with dementia. And there were books about it, but not the kind of books I wanted to read, which were honest books. I wanted to read honest stories about what this is really like as an experience. And, a lot of, I don't know who this phrase originally comes from, but a lot of writing teachers say, and I say it myself too, is write the book that you needed to have on your nightstand when you were going through that
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I started to do that with my blog, where I would write about how hard it was taking care of my grandma and how beautiful it was taking care of my grandmother.
Wow.
And talking about the fact that she had dementia, but she was also hoarding, and that complicated things for our family, and for her care, because she wouldn't let people really in the house. And
Wow.
so I wrote about that, and I wrote about, one of my most popular probably my most popular blog piece, I hate to say this, was when I accidentally, well, I shouldn't say, well, no, it was accidentally. I was dating a guy for 3 months, and I had no idea he had a wife. And yeah, so then I found out and I wrote about it, because I was traumatized. I could not believe I had been duped like this. I mean, it wasn't his first time doing this. So anyway, I don't want to go and talk about that story too much, but it's on the blog, and it's called Discovering My Boyfriend Has a Wife. And it literally, like, I wrote that piece. I was so upset by
Yeah.
the betrayal and all of it.
Wow.
And I was in Montana, and I was up at this little hot springs resort, and I hit post, and I went and soaked in the pool for a while, and I came out and I checked my phone, and I had like 300 hits on my piece, and then like 1,000, and then like another 1,000. And it's interesting, the WordPress has like analytics, and you can see like what people are searching for and how they find your blog.
Yeah.
That people are searching Google for like discovering my boyfriend has a wife. I mean, literally, it's sort of horrifying. But that's why that piece took off, right? Because
Wow.
it hit home for
Yeah.
people. And the same way, the dementia stuff that I wrote about really connected with people, because it doesn't matter if you're a caregiver for an older person or a child, or someone's caregiving you. I was just writing about it in a really human, really honest way. So I did that for the longest time, and I kept just writing on my blog, just kept going and going. And then I'll fast forward.
Did you monetize it at all?
No, not at all.
Wow.
Nope, not at all. And I'm neither like proud nor not proud of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just all for me to practice. It was all for me to find my voice,
Wow.
which I already had, but just hone it and publish these pieces, and get feedback. I mean, that is what I needed, was feedback. I needed to know that it mattered. And, when I wrote pieces about my grandmother, I would get dozens of messages from friends or strangers and telling me, this happened in my family too. And thank you for writing about it, because nobody does. So that was really huge. But I really just kept going. And then I decided I was going to write a book about my grandmother. I would say it's still happening. It's just kind of on the back burner because of other things right now.
Yeah.
But it's still something I want to do, like kind of a cross between like a book about caring for people with dementia, like part narrative and part instruction book, like how, like what do you need to know, and how can my story help make it easier? Not that everyone's story is unique, right?
Yeah.
But dementia is a really big thing, unfortunately, and the numbers are going up, and there are some new drugs that are out there, but as the population continues to live longer, more people get dementia. I mean, that's just the numbers game on how that works. So I think it's a worthwhile project to pursue again. And that's, sometimes it is just about timing.
Yeah.
But what happened to me, I take no credit for this, honestly, because the pandemic hit, and I had gone to Mexico to focus on writing. Truly, I had had a really intense massage job, made some money. My grandmother died, my dog died. The partner I had at the time was all about me doing something that I needed to do. So I went to Mexico for 3 months to write this story about my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Then the pandemic hit. So I had to come home early. And when I got home, like all of us, I think at that time, I shouldn't say all of us, maybe some were more realistic than others, but we didn't know when it was going to end. So I thought, okay, well, I'll be back to massage in a week or a month or 2 months, or right? Like, I'll be back to massage this summer. Because we really had no idea. And it was end of May, when my employer said they weren't going to be opening again for the summer.
Wow.
And so it was end of May. So they would normally open, it's a year-round place, but the really big season is summer and winter. It's in Lake Tahoe. So there's this off season that they're quiet. So summer's huge there. So they said they were not going to be opening for the summer. And I thought, oh my gosh, like,
yeah.
Oh no. Like I just, like a lot of people, I was shocked, and I didn't know what was going to happen next. So I had heard about this class with Susan Shapiro, who's a ridiculously amazing writing teacher who has changed so many lives. And it was going to be offered online, and it cost $500. And I thought at the time, right, as we often do when we're faced with these crossroads, oh, $500 sounds like a lot. Like, I don't know if I want to, like, I don't know if I want to risk that.
Risk
because,
it.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know when my next massage job is coming. At that point, I hadn't even applied. I didn't think I could get any unemployment. I wasn't sure, So but I signed up for this class, and the name of the class is Instant Gratification Takes Too Long. And she says that she can help you get published in 5 weeks. And I was like,
Wait a minute. Instant gratification takes too long. I love that.
I know, it's great. And so this is her book, The Viline Bible. And I had already bought the book. So I knew who she was, and I was following her on social media, and I'd already bought the book, and the book is great. The book actually teaches you everything you need to know to be a freelance journalist. But I was struggling to implement the lessons. And so Sue has, she's taught at the New School and NYU, somewhere else, maybe in New York City, and all live classes. But because of the pandemic, her live classes were canceled. So it worked for everybody, right? It worked for her to be able to take her classes online. It also worked for people all over the country and the world, as a matter of fact, who were able to take her classes, who normally they were only available to people who lived in in New York City, or who could at least go to New York City once a week. So, so that class I signed up for, I was, I'm a really optimistic person. I was not very optimistic. I thought, this is crazy. This is really crazy. But I got pieces published. And I think it was the third week of class that I had my first pitch accepted. And then I had another and another and another. And Sue was such a wonderful cheerleader for me. And then I took the class again because I just felt like it was, okay, I had made some money and now I was going to reinvest back in myself. And I think that that's something that, if you can do it, is really important. So the way the class is set up is you meet editors. And you learn, two things really happen in the class. One is you learn how to write a pitch. It's not as easy as it sounds, and everybody does it wrong the first time. And even when you think you know how to do it, it's really easy to mess it up and say too much, not say the right things. So you learn how to write a pitch, and you also learn what editors are looking for. And you learn this because they come in and they talk to you. And sometimes you get to ask a question, sometimes not, but it's actually great.
Wait, you get to do that live in class?
It's live in class. And then
wow.
Yep. So for example, I write a lot for Wired, and this is my favorite story about my transition to journalism, is that I thought I had, when I heard the editor from Wired was coming, I was like, I love the magazine, but I'm like, I'm not a tech person. I don't think I have anything to say. I was so wrong, right? And I love being wrong in that way. But when I listened to the editor speak about what he's looking for and describe to us the kinds of pieces that he's looking to commission, I had an idea that came to me that I had never thought about before. And that's the place I write for the most. I absolutely love writing for this editor. I love writing the kinds of pieces that they commission, which are pieces that help people live better lives, using technology in ways to live a better life.
Wow.
Like, technology can take a lot from us, it takes our time. I won't go into it, but it's good. There's a great amount of connection that happens on social media, but it can also really rob us of other connection. But we're not really living without tech right now. So anyway, those are the kind of pieces I write there. Yeah.
Wow. So awesome. So what was the fear or the challenges that you had in 2020 going from massage into this unknown?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, when I got rejected from that MFA program back in 1996, when I graduated from college, and then every time along the way that I have submitted something for publication, I get literally paralyzed by being told no. It's the fear of rejection, right?
Yeah.
So that's where Sue is a fabulous cheerleader, in the sense that it's like, you don't have to, no is fine. No is part of the business, right? And so really understanding that you are going to be told no, and you're either going to be crippled by it the way I had been for all those years, or you're going to say, fine, it's a no. Now I need to either tweak the pitch, I need to find a better outlet for it. Like, maybe it just wasn't the right place.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my writing. It wasn't about the idea, the story. It was just about it not being a good fit, which is a metaphor for pretty much everything, right? Relationships, love, jobs, homes. Sometimes it's not me or you. It's just not a good fit.
Yeah. I totally see that 100%.
Yeah.
As far as the journey that you've been on, up to this point, what would you say is your biggest failure, and how did you deal with that?
Oh my God, my biggest failure, I feel like I just said it, was being crippled by the no. Okay. And really thinking that that it was a roadblock, and not seeing it as an opportunity. I can't. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that a no was an opportunity. Like, now I just see it as an as like for real opportunity to refine your program. Why why was this a no? Like, it wasn't a no because I'm bad or wrong or anything. It just wasn't the right fit. And I think it really is like when you can. I don't know. I wish I hadn't been wired that way from the start, to be so discouraged by a no, but I was. And so at least I got
So
over it.
what do you do now? What do you do now when you receive a no? Are you altering your side? Are you going back? Are you fixing?
So you can't go back.
Okay.
Okay. So you can't pitch the same editor again. I mean, you wish you could, right? You wish you could say, "Ooh, let me tweak it a little bit," but
Yeah.
you can't. Sometimes they leave the door open and they say, "This is interesting, but I need more information," or "I need some studies to back this up," or something like that. So when I get a no now, well, I'm usually prepared for the no, right? Not that I'm anticipating I'm going to get it, but when I come up with a pitch idea, I think of several places it could fit, not just one.
Okay.
Because then if you get the no, I mean, sometimes it's very clear that it's just one. And because I have a relationship with my editor at Wired, I will I will pitch things specific to him without thinking about anybody else. But at the same time, I think, well, if it doesn't work for him, then it will work for someone else. It's all I do is just, I mean, Sue Shapiro, my teacher, she says, as soon as you get a rejection, or as soon as you send a pitch, even before you get rejected, just start writing another pitch. Like, you have to constantly be generating ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You have to be resilient and fast paced about it to really make it work.
You got to fill up
Because
that pipeline.
some editors will take, I mean, I have a regular writing group that I meet with, and we joke, some editors are wonderful, we say, because they reject you in 30 seconds. And others take 2 weeks to reject you, right? You also have to be persistent. A writing friend of mine, she recently followed up. She thought she was going to get rejected from the New York Daily News and somewhere else, and she followed up and she was persistent, and they had actually missed her pitch. So that's a really important thing too. Like, sometimes what we think is a no isn't even a no, right? It's just that everyone is busy. Everyone is really, in this stage of the pandemic, is taking a toll. People are really overwhelmed. And sometimes they just miss it and you have to remind them.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It's just like resilience, I think, is what it boils down to.
100%.
Yeah.
When did you kind of fall into this mindset of realizing this no scenario in your head, which I am labeling as like personal growth or self-development? When did you kind of like realize, oh my gosh, I'm having this issue with this thing, and you're self-aware of it? When did that kind of come to bay? Years
Like,
ago? Recently?
oh yeah, no, like the negative part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think I'm just one of those people that's like just really freaked out by rejection. I mean, I think we all are, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I see other people bounce back much better than I have. Um, I I would say high school.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, like the fear of raising your hand, in class, like saying the wrong thing. Like, that was, I mean, that's not me anymore, but that was
Yeah.
me then, that
But
I was really afraid that I was going to say something stupid.
when did you become aware of that though?
That it was a problem.
Yeah.
Um, Probably, let's see. I want to say I don't think it was in college. I don't think it was when I got rejected from that MFA program, which I ended up attending that MFA program in 2010 actually, but I only went for one semester and didn't stay. And it wasn't a good fit. I didn't need it. I had already sort of evolved a little bit beyond not like I would have gotten a lot out of it, but I wasn't looking for the debt at that point and didn't want to be a professor at a university. I love teaching individuals in small classes, but not on that level. So I knew, like, when I had a manuscript in like 2009, 10, 11 that I was sending around, and I was getting no's, and I was like taking me a really long time to recover from each one before I could send it out again. I guess that's when I realized that, ooh, this is really a problem. But I didn't know how to fix it.
Do you know
I really
now?
didn't. Honestly, you just have to do it a lot. You know, I mean, a writer friend of mine, I remember when she said several years ago that she aims to get, like, it was crazy, like 50 rejections a month or something. And I thought, how do you even manage to get 50 rejections a month? And she said, because they don't matter anymore, right? Like, it's just, you just have to get hardened. You have to get hardened to it. I hate that. Doesn't sound nice the way I said it, but you have to get used to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think I mean, taking Sue's class and having a quick success was awesome. It was hard to get to stomach rejections after that, but at the same time, almost 2 years, well, a year, yeah, almost 2 years later, I feel like I mean, I get bummed when I get a no, right? Because you did the work and you want to get a yes, but it's not crippling. That's the difference. It's not crippling. It's just a pause. And it's a pause to rethink and reconsider and decide how I want to do it different.
Yeah, definitely. What were the first 3 steps that you took towards bettering your life?
I mean, I feel like starting a blog and doing it writing for the love of it, right? Like,
Yes.
you know, for love and not money. Like, I tell everybody, if you don't want to write just for the sake of writing, you probably shouldn't do it. Like, it's not that fun. I mean, it's fun. It's one of those things that's fun to have done, but it's kind of excruciating to get started for most people. To really do it right. Journaling, knock yourself out. That is fun, right?
Yeah.
But to actually, you know, craft something for publication, it's kind of stressful. I mean, I love it. I love the stress of it, but so writing for fun, writing for the love of it and not for money. That was a huge thing because I got positive feedback, which I needed. I needed a little boost. I needed to know that people cared. I needed to know that I had like something to say, you know?
Yeah.
And then of course, risking that $500, which doesn't seem like a big deal now, right? But it did then.
Yeah.
And so I guess the first step is, I mean, I say take the class, like whatever the class is. I had this, I don't know, this weird idea that taking classes and learning how to do things in that way was cheating. Isn't that crazy?
You
Like,
know what? Same.
what? Really?
Actually, same. Yes.
Yeah.
Too easy. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way. It's supposed to be hard.
Right. Yeah. And so I think about that and you know, I know people who are incredible athletes and on their own right, they're already incredible athletes, but maybe they want to do an ultra marathon or some big event and they hire coaches to help them, right? And that's not cheating. You know, it's really not. But for
Yes.
like, I thought that if you asked for help and you learned how to do something, it was cheating and you had to figure everything out yourself. Now, I swear to God, the stuff that's in the Viline Bible and the stuff that's in Sue Shapiro's class, you kind of can't figure out yourself. And she knows that I mean, I've had friends tell me, will you talk to my friend? They just got a journalism degree and they don't know where to start. I mean, literally, you learn all this stuff in journalism school, but you don't learn how to send a pitch and how to.
Wow.
Apparently, they're not teaching that. Maybe some schools are, but for the most part, they're not. And so you just have to know how to do it. I mean, you can't just, if somebody said put all the ingredients for lasagna in front of you and said make a lasagna, but you've never even like had a lasagna, you're even if you have had a lasagna, you're probably not going to really know where to start and what to do,
Yeah.
and so it's not cheating. Recipes aren't cheating, classes aren't cheating. And I think that if anybody wants to do anything, whether it's writing or anything else, I mean, you should take the class because it save yourself a lot of frustration. And I probably would have recovered from my no complex much sooner had I learned that that's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's literally you cannot be a journalist or a writer in any capacity or an artist in any capacity and not be told no,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to go along with that, I think entrepreneurship in general, you have to be able to take no's.
Yes, that's actually I'm about to pitch probably later today a piece about that, about the great resignation and entrepreneurship and who should and who shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you have to really have some tenacity on this side, even with everything. Like even these podcasts that I do for free,
Yes.
to be able to speak and tell your story and talk about your business and what you do and to create content for whatever. And there's people that don't want to do it. There's people that don't show. There's people that fall off the face of the planet. There's
Like your guests don't show?
yeah,
You mean?
all the time. Yeah,
Oh.
all the time. Or just so they
Yeah.
don't want to do it. Like I'm heavy in LinkedIn and reaching out and collaborating and creating a community and pulling people in. And some people just aren't interested.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to, you can't like allow any sort of negativity to stop your flow of where you're trying to go.
Totally.
You have to
Yes.
keep pushing through.
Absolutely. I need to be better on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's wonderful.
I know
Yeah.
it is. I just haven't
There's just so much. There's just so much. I totally get it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's 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 just constant. I feel like
We
my
do the
whole
best we
life
can.
is online, but I love it. That's part and to go along with what you said about writing, like if you don't enjoy doing it for free, you're not going to enjoy doing it.
It's true.
And I think that that's so true because like even what I'm doing and what I'm building and the client base and the community and all of that, I so enjoy it. Like I enjoy doing everything, the chaos and the community and the creativity. I just freaking love it.
It's awesome.
I love it. And that's where you have to be.
Yep. And like one of the things that I love about Instagram is how empowering and inspirational it is, right? And there's so many things that come up there. But prior to that, I've always, as I was trying to get over, being so freaked out by being told no, I would read inspirational quotes, and there's there's a famous one by Samuel Beckett, try again, fail better.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like, we just have to keep going.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. What's the number one lesson that you've learned about life?
The number one lesson about life, that you can be your own cheerleader.
Oh, that's so good.
You're so cute. But I think I think that that's why I started the blog, because I needed feedback. I needed to know that I wasn't just writing in a vacuum and that somebody out there cared. And that feedback was really helpful, but at the same time, I really do think that you need to be your own cheerleader. Yeah.
Yes, we're not many times.
No. Or if we are, we want someone else. We still want someone else. We still want a lot of external validation. And I think that the difference between internal and external validation is really huge as far as personal growth and figuring yourself out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that, not this month, but last month on our impact panel, and how important it is to like pat yourself on I think I even just did it today on our podcast.
Yeah.
Where you have to like pat yourself on the back for like doing things.
Yes.
Even the simplest of things, you have to like tell yourself, your mind, that you did a good job, you know, because people aren't there. And you've even stated that, like, as an entrepreneur, where you are a writer or whatever, you're kind of solo. So like, you know, until you get that first comment, you know, telling you did a good job or they appreciate what you wrote, you kind of have to sit and be like, I did great on that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well,
know?
it does take a while to refine how to be an accurate judge of your own work, but every successful, every unsuccessful, every writer I know needs a writing group. You know, because you can't, I mean, you just can't do it all yourself. You
Yeah.
don't know, when you know the story, you don't know what makes sense or what doesn't, you know, after a little bit of time. And getting feedback is really crucial, but that's not the end all be all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. As far as you know, the journey that you've been on and the ups and the downs and the limiting beliefs and believing in yourself and then not so much believing in yourself, what would you say is the most disempowering belief that you've had in your life? And what do you believe now?
The most disempowering belief, I mean, you know, I think it's like you can't, I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this right, because I've heard people say it and it's really profound. But if you don't know anybody in your life who's ever been a published writer or anything, right? If you don't know anyone who's ever been a lawyer, if you don't know, it's hard to believe that you can do it too, right? And so it falls into that idea that you have to start surrounding yourself with with people who are already doing what you want to do. I spent a lot of time as a writer in writing groups with other people that talked an awful lot about how hard it is to get published, right? And when you're sitting around talking about how hard it is, and I mean, the odds are not good, okay? That is the truth. And some of the best-selling books were rejected so many times. Like Catherine Stockett, who wrote The Help, which was a New York Times bestseller, became a great film, was rejected 60 times. And I heard her on an interview years ago. She resorted, when she would go work on her book, she started lying to her family and telling them she was like going to the spa or something. Then she was actually going to a little cheap motel to sit and work on her book. And the reason that she did that was because she didn't want to tell them she was still working on this thing that had been rejected so many times. She didn't want them to say, like, you know, maybe you should hang it up. I don't know what they were saying. I don't know why she did this exactly.
Wow.
But, you know, Stephen King's Carrie was rejected 30 times. I mean, it's outrageous. It's so when you compare yourself, like if you think that you're going to get easy success, you're probably not. You know, you have to be realistic. So I think the disempowering belief was not being realistic, not really looking at the path that people have taken to get where I want to go.
Beautiful. Yeah. Your little example that actually reminded me of a speech or a lecture that I heard from Les Brown. Have you heard of Les Brown? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So he gives this segment of his spiel about how up to a certain point, I don't remember the year, no one believed that you could run the mile in under 4 minutes.
Totally.
And then some dude, Roger Bannister or something,
Yep, I think that's
came in and freaking just under, it was like 3 minutes, 58 seconds.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, from that moment, no one had ever run the mile for under 4. And then from that moment forward, there's been like, I don't know what he said, 20 something, 2,000 something, tons of people have run the mile in under 4 minutes, just like what you said.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. Like you can't if you don't believe that it's even possible, you're never going to get there.
Yes.
And if you, and that mile example is a really good one. I also think, and I'm not a mathematician, but so I wouldn't totally quote me on this, but the odds of getting published are so bad, right? But you're comparing yourself against maybe everybody who wants to get published. Maybe they're not working as hard as you. Maybe they're not getting up at 5 a.m. to write before work, or maybe they're not giving up their weekends, right? And so when it comes to getting published, I had a really wonderful writing teacher who said, it's really just about you versus you. So you actually have a 50% chance, which is like very empowering. It's not exactly true. Okay, like I said, I'm not a statistician or a
Yeah, but I
mathematician,
love that.
but it's just you versus you, right? You're either going to do it or you're not. And in comparing yourself to other people can be terrible. However, like the running example, if just knowing that it's possible is everything you need in order to make it possible yourself.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I'm writing that down. That is absolutely true. So great. Listen, we have a ton of people sitting here. We've been over an hour. We're chatting now. So I just want to give a high five to everyone here that is hanging out with us, supporting us, listening to the Her Version podcast, and Miss Jaimie here. So obviously they're interested in what you're saying and what you're doing. I'd love for you to talk about your business. What do you do? Who are you?
Yes. So I am a freelance journalist, and I call it a hustle. I pitch work that I do for myself, right? I also, in the past, and since the pandemic, past couple of years, I've coached people individually, and I've also taught small classes. I taught a small class in person in California during the pandemic. We did it all outside. It was lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. And there are testimonials on my website about that. But and I do, I write content for websites. I work on a podcast myself where I edit the content of the episodes and kind of streamline it and come up with what we'll do for social and things like that. But my favorite thing to do is help people find their story. I mean, I love writing my own pieces. I love writing my own books. Those are things that will always be a part of my life. But something that I really found a lot of joy in lately is helping other people, listening to their story. I have a client right now. I won't spoil it because I think it's a little bit secretive, but she has a wonderful story, and she was on a popular TV show about 7 years ago. And there's a reason why it's coming out now, but she's been trying to figure out like what the story is, right? Like she knows it's there, but what is it, and how can it be articulated to people? So I actually went to her house. We spent 4 days together. We walked the beach. We sat in the living room. I took notes nonstop, and we came up with what we mined for the details. We dug really deep. She would tell me a story, maybe just talk for 20 minutes, and I would say, okay, but is this really a story about X, or is it like, I think what I hear is it's this other story? And she's like, yes, that's what it's really about. So that is so fun for me. I also I have a writing group. I don't know if any of them are listening in here now. I think maybe one is, but we meet every Wednesday, and we do this in a small way in the writing group where we share pieces each week, whether it's a chapter from a book or a piece we'd like to publish in a journal. And often, and it's not intentional, but what happens is someone reads and I listen and I think, that's not where the story really starts. Like you're giving a lot of background and a lot of fluff, and you're trying to ease into the story, when what we really want to do is we want to start with some action. That's where stories really begin, is like, give us action, give the reader a place where they can see themselves. So I love doing that in any way,
Wow.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
But I'm happy to offer advice. I mean, I would tell anybody who wants to do what I'm doing, to take Sue's class, honestly, to buy the book or take Sue's class.
That's
because
great.
I think that's a really good first step. Absolutely.
Where can everyone find you?
So I'm the only Jaimie Stathis, I think, in the world. So as long as you spell my name right, you can email me at jaimiestathis@gmail. You can find me at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm not, as I said, I'm not really on LinkedIn, but I do check it occasionally. And my website is jaimiestathis.com.
Isn't your middle name in your email, Jaimie?
So I have two emails, but people can
Okay.
just email me. They can email me Jaimie Alexis Stathis or Jaimie Stathis. Either one is fine.
Is that right?
You got it.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, thank
What
you.
what does success mean to you?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I think it just means being happy.
I love that.
You know, honestly, I thought about that question a lot. Like, what does it mean? And I think it means like being happy and following your joy and feeling like you're contributing something. Like I thought that as a writer, 10 years ago, I thought as a writer, the way I was going to contribute to the world was through writing like really personal stories that people could learn from and see themselves in, right? Those stories are hard to write. I love writing them, but they're hard. Now I see that I can really impact the world by writing pieces like the one of mine that you shared yesterday from Wired about accountability, right? Like
So
like
good.
I'm adding something to the world by writing these pieces and helping
Yeah.
people achieve more, be happier, so that makes me happy. That's all I need. I don't need a lot.
That's awesome. As far as our female audience here and anyone who's maybe struggling with entrepreneurship or maybe thinking about getting into entrepreneurship, what would you say? What kind of advice would you give them? Those that are kind of struggling with being their authentic selves and kind of figuring out their role and what they're trying to do.
I mean, I think it would have to be that Samuel Beckett quote, try again, fail better. Um, I think that the most disempowering belief ever is probably that we're going to get it right the first time. Like not that we have to get it wrong, but be willing to revise.
Yeah.
Be willing to revise your vision, be willing to revise what it's going to look like. I mean, I'll be honest, when I graduated from college, I did not want to be a journalist. I never wanted to be a journalist. Part of that was because I didn't know all about what it meant to be a journalist. Part of
Mhm.
that was because journalism has changed too, right? But what I meant when I said I didn't want to be a journalist was I didn't want to work for a newspaper writing about like how, I don't know, college sport, high school sports or local stuff. I wanted to write what I wanted to write,
Yeah.
and I think that sounds like so bratty of me to say, I just want to write what I want to write, but why not?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, why should I think that that's how to be more authentic in general. So, sell something if you want to be an entrepreneur in a different way, I mean, sell something you really believe in, right? Do what you want. Because
Definitely.
if it's not like if you're selling, diet pills and you don't believe in them, then it's probably not going to work, right?
Yes. Yes. Word to all of those MLMers that we love so much. But yeah, you have to believe in a product. Yeah,
Yes.
100%. It's totally different. You can feel it too when people are kind of or they're totally gung ho and in 100%. You can feel the vibrations of that.
Yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, listen, Jaimie, this was amazing. I so appreciate you hanging out with me and chit-chatting. Do you have any closing thoughts before I close up here?
No, I'm just really excited I mean, I've listened to a few of your episodes. I saw who's coming up and I'm excited about that. And I'm looking forward to being part of your community online too.
Yes.
Getting to know your other guests more.
Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Well, I love that. Thank you so much. For those of you that are still hanging on, thank you so much for being here and listening and supporting us. We always appreciate it. This community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share when you can. I hope that you have an amazing day today. If you have a story to share, be sure to reach out to me. This platform is all about inspiring others,